Hello, my name is Cynthia and welcome to my Flosstube video. I'm happy to be here with you today to talk about my stitching, crafting, things I've been making, sewing, decorating, lots of things I've been up to. I thank you for your patience with waiting for a video from me. I have just been a little bit stuck sitting down and hitting record. So here I am today. It's Sunday, October 1st, 2023, and hopefully I can get through all the piles that I have in front of me, some that I have finished within the last few days, and then several from previous years, and a whole pile of things that I have started since we last visited, and some things I hope to do in the near future. I also have a little series of books that I wanted to share with you that are somewhat stitching related, and that's about all. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I'll give you a little bit more of an update at the end of the video if you want to stick around and see what is going on in my family life. Things are good, doing okay, just super busy. But let me first start out with what I've been stitching. Actually, these aren't things I stitched super recently. These are things I finished super recently. I stitched Fresh Eggs by oh goodness, sometimes when that camera hits, my mind goes blank. This is a very well-known designer. What is the name of this one? A primitive artist, and one that I've done several of. This lace doesn't want to stay where it's supposed to. I had this piece sitting around since probably around July or August, and I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with it. I shared on my Instagram stories this aqua frame that I bought for this, but it just wasn't fitting in the frame correctly. And then I found this piece, it's like a cutting board or a charcuterie board, whatever, from Target, up on a shelf, and I had just, stashed it for future finishing, and sure enough, it was about the perfect size for this Fresh Eggs. And I will put the name of the designer right here because my mind is just blank. I know who it is, and you're probably shouting it at me, but one of my favorites. Anyway, I had just not felt good about the finish, and so finally I decided to paint this little board red, and then I liked it a lot better. I think this is a Gentle Arch thread, one of my favorite reds. And again, I'm so rusty with filming, I'm sorry. I'll put the name of it here, but it wasn't the called for. The called for red on this piece was almost like an orangey red DMC. I think the whole thing was charted in DMC. And I just used some threads I had around the house. So I made this kind of more of a variegated red, which I enjoyed. And then I kind of just made up different browns and golds. I don't think I used any of the called for. Also on her face, if you can notice, this, is it Pineberry Lane? Oh goodness, I think that may be it. But like I said, I'm so rusty. The face was longer necked, and there was no hair. So I've done one of these ladies before, and I always add hair. And in this case, I did a chain stitch. If you could see that, that's an embroidery stitch. And I shortened the neck so that I made her leg 1 stitch longer instead of, is it supposed to be 2 stitches? Yeah, I made it 3. So she's kind of got high water dress maybe, but it's just a primitive look. So you can kind of play with it a little bit. And then I think this basket was supposed to be filled in with stitches, but by the end of that, I was like, I like it open wire. A lot of egg baskets are, open wired. So I didn't fill in all those stitches, but I think it looks great. And I love black and white and red. That's one of my favorite color combinations. So it goes really nicely in my kitchen. I did glue one of these sawtooth hangers on the back, and I tried to put it in the middle of the board, which is, I think it was like 15 inches from end to tail, but it's a little bit like a bowling ball pin, you know, so it still doesn't hang straight. So what I think I'll have to do is put like a command strip on this end so that I can kind of hang it and Velcro it to the wall. But it's gonna go with my other primitive pieces that I have that are kind of kitchen-y related. I have my Not Forgotten Farm tomato season, and I think I'm gonna put it next to that above my door so I can enjoy it year round. It's one of those pieces that's going to be out not seasonally, but just all the time. So I hope that that is inspirational to you. And then I have two little bee finishes that are, like I said, not anything I finished or not that I stitched recently, but I just finished them. They've been sitting in a pile, which is not like me. That's why I've been sort of stuck. Like I told you, I think you get an paralysis by analysis. That's what I've been doing with my Flosstube. So thank you for bearing with me, but I will have some more fall finishes I hope to share soon. These are just from the end of summer. And this was my Melissa Monday Sal. I had intended to do a stitch a month from Pinker and Pumpkin Quilting, which I've done about maybe 4, and I've started on the 5th. So maybe half the year was successful. They're super simple. And Melissa just gets better and better on her blog. If you're not following her, I'll put the name of it here. You really need to check her out if you like primitive style and just sweet things that fit in, you know, a seasonal stitch, to fill in a display. This one, like I said, it's super simple. It just says Buzz Buzz. And I put it on this cobblestone, I believe it's called, Lugana, that I had. I liked the white wings, the way they contrasted on that. And then I had some ball trim that a sweet viewer shared with me that was bright neon colors, and she knew I could dye them. And so I dyed this to be kind of a honey color and kind of grungy. So that's the way it worked out. And like I said, I've put several pieces on this. It just rotates through. So there's washers and magnets. And this one will next be one of the little farmer that she does. Is it Farmer Susie? I can't remember. She has a name, but the little Farmer Annie, that's what it is. Farmer Annie, I will put on here with the pumpkins. So I have her started, or at least I have it kitted. It's just a little tiny 50 by 50 stitch. So next time, hope to show you that. But Buzz Buzz, I just finished yesterday. And then the last finish I had to share with you. Like I said, I haven't been stitching a lot of well, I've been stitching, but I haven't been completing projects very well. I've been a little bit all over the place. But I did finish this one back in July or August and didn't get to display it, but now it's ready and it's magneted here, but I might need to add another magnet because it's so wide. I've done, I think, almost all of these. This is Buzzy String, and I have this little bee tied in there. I think I'm going to use this same board for the Easter one, so I did magnet it. Last time I did it, I used glue, and I had this same board. I believe it comes from Hobby Lobby. It doesn't have a sticker, but I think it's like maybe $5 or $6. And so I have one that's dark wood, and then I have this one that's white. And it's called Buzzy String by Lizzie Kate. It's just super simple with that same grungy, oh, see, I need another magnet. Just barely touch it and it falls. But if I leave it alone on a shelf, it'll probably be fine. I'm gonna use it in my hutch. It's nice to have long, skinny pieces like this that are horizontal, and I also like to have vertical. I'll show you a really skinny vertical piece I like to have. But this one was sweet for the summer. I had a whole bee hutch. I might put that either at the beginning or end, even though it's a little bit late, but I did enjoy doing a little bit of bee stitching, those 2 pieces, and I'm getting quite a collection of those. So let me go ahead and pull out the previous finishes that I wanted to show you that come from this season we're in now. And I have one of each kind of craft that I do. So hang on just a second, I'll get those out. Okay, I have some previous finishes, like I said, from the past couple years. One of them is this year, but I do a lot of multi-crafting, different ways with needle and thread, but also painting. And I had wanted to kind of just share one of each of those for some inspiration for fall. I have first this painting here that I did do in July. We had a craft night at my ladies' ministry at church where I lead it every summer. And we replicated, and luckily it's right behind me. This is my mom's original painting that she did. We lost her, 2 years ago now, but she did that in 2019 or 2018 at a ladies painting night at her church, and I thought we could all replicate that. I'll insert a photo here of my friends that came over. There were about 8 of us that are in kind of the leadership committee, and we practiced doing this craft so that I would kind of know how it goes. It's hard to teach, especially a large group of like 40, 50 women, how to do something and not assume that people understand how to shade or blend. And not that I'm an expert at it by any means. I'm definitely more of a folk artist, but I did copy my mom's painting as best I could. And this is just a fun craft that you could do with your kids. I used some file folders and made templates for each table so that it's almost like a snowman shape. And then I painted the background this aqua color that goes in my house really well. I offered other options for other people, but I like this blue with the orange a lot. And that turned out really sweet. I don't remember, did I sign it? Yeah, I signed it. And it's not quite as good as my mom's. I know you can probably tell that, but it did come out sweet, and it was a fun craft to do if you wanted to do it with grandkids or with just any children in your life. It's real friendly for kids as well. So that was a painting I did. I wanted to share my favorite embroidery that I've done for fall Halloween season. This was from probably 2 years ago now. It's on Etsy. It is Hudson Holidays, and what I did was just trace these designs, let me get a little closer here, with a friction pen so that when you put heat on them, like from a hairdryer, the lines disappear. And this one is my favorite. She has that crazy wonky eyeball, and the colors are sweet. They're primitive, but still fun, with some purples and olive greens, and the mummy is sweet too. It was just a fun experiment. This is some of the earliest embroidery I did, so my stitches are not, the best, but that's okay. It's meant to be primitive. I back them all the same so they kind of look like a series. And I had one other pillow that's made from a tea towel, but I didn't bring that one over. It's just these 3 Halloween, kind of vintage looking, almost like those vintage postcards. So it took some time. They have really intricate corners on some of these like flags and the lettering, so you have to go kind of slow, but if you can cross stitch, you can do this for sure. And it's definitely quicker than cross stitch. So speaking of quicker than cross stitch, everyone, or a lot of my friends anyway, the people I follow, have stitched Reverend Gordon Squash Bottom, and I have long admired him. Now this frame has gone through some trauma. My husband, I've complained about this before. Last time I did a video, in fact, he had knocked down Elijah's photo there, the second one up, with his broad shoulders. He knocked this frame on the ground or on the floor and just really dinged it up. It split completely in the corner. All of my punch needle came out, and I just recently repaired some of it. It still has some dings and ouches, but that's why I like primitive art, because I have a big family and we just can't have nice things. So if things get dinged up, I mean, this came from my mom's garage, it's okay. I made it kind of fancy with some dry brushing of some metallic. It's a really cool frame, but like I said, it got smashed pretty hard. So it's okay. But I did this design. It's a cross stitch pattern called Reverend Gordon Squash Bottom by Not Forgotten Farm, one of my favorite artists. And I didn't want to stitch the whole thing. It ended up being still a little labor intensive because all of that white space is punched with a punch needle. And I didn't have a frame large enough, so I had to kind of squish things a little bit. But overall, I think it's really fun. And I ran out of some of the colors, so I kind of, put some in, and I had to rearrange it to fit this frame a little bit. That took me maybe 2 or 3 tries, but I like the final result. I think it's still cute. And I have another pumpkin head lady in cross stitch that I keep up on the mantle. So and a pumpkin head scarecrow that I made. I'll try to insert a photo of that pumpkin head scarecrow. I left him over there, but I should have brought that in because that's another thing I do is sewing, and I didn't have an example of that, but that's okay. Anyway, this one though, if you do want to try to convert a cross stitch to punch needle, it needs to be something that's very blocky and primitive in style. It can't have a whole lot of detail or lettering just because the punch needle doesn't translate. Think of it like a little rug. It's basically like a little rug. So I do have that up every fall now that I've repaired that frame, and I love it. And then wool applique is something I also am a beginner at best. I have lots of oops when I'm doing that because I'm not even, but overall, I mean, it's just stitching around. And oh, I think I missed some paws down here. I just realized not all these paws are outlined. That's okay. This design I found on eBay, and it's one of my favorite things. I think it is so quirky and fun. I'll try to find the pattern. I want to say it was like Trade Lake or something Lake Designs. A relative of this designer actually commented when I showed this the first time and told me that her niece, I think, made this pattern, and it also comes with puppies, and it is on eBay. I've seen it. If you search wool applique cats, it might come up, or puppies. But I shortened this pattern. It fits on this stand that I got from So Cherished online. It actually is meant for a series of wool appliques that go each month, and this is not by that same designer as this stand, but I love this stand. I think it's so cool. And these are just held on there with magnets, if you can tell. But I used 2 less cats than the pattern called for. The pattern is actually a candle mat, and it's rather large, and so eliminating 2 of those cats made it a circle, and then I could put it on a stand. So there's Dahlia making a little photobomb. But I love this cute little Halloween kind of fall design with their quirky eyes, and I have lots of mistakes that I can see, but I also just think it's fun. So that is some wool applique. I always like to show different crafts, not just cross stitching, because your needle and thread can create so many different things. But here is a favorite cross stitch of mine, and it's just so pretty, especially in person. It's a little hard to show on film because it's so long, but a lot of y'all have done this, I think it's Little House Needlework series, the ABC for the seasons, and this one was my favorite out of the 4. I put it on this welcome stand. You can see from the back, it was red. It had a bird on top, but my kids broke it, as they do. And so I just keep a bow up there now, but the colors are my own choices. I used 16 count Aida on this entire series because you would have to buy quite a long cut of linen unless you had something on hand. It fits pretty well on this stand with a 32 count or 16 count Aida. And let me think, I put a few extra stitches in there. I don't know if those long stitches on the scarecrow were called for or if I did that, but I tried to do a few specialty stitches on these kind of simple pieces, like some Lazy Daisy apple leaves, and I darkened the whole thing up quite a bit. I think it was much brighter. Like my barn is something that I had hand dyed myself, but oh, there goes my pumpkin on top. It's not held together very well since that bird broke off the top. There's nothing to hold it on at the top anymore. But that's a fun one. I've seen a lot of people working on that on Instagram, just kind of as a inspiration to get that out. If you haven't, it's such a quick stitch. It's really fun. So those are some previous finishes. I believe that's all I had to share. Like I said, I'll put a photo of my scarecrow that I made with a pumpkin head. It was a pattern off of Etsy, and I sold one and then I made one with a pumpkin head. So those were fun. Let me put all those away and I'll get out all the projects I've started since we've last visited. Some with some good progress on them, some just a little bit, but I'll be right back to share those. Thanks. Okay, there's more here than I realized, so I'll try to go quickly. I have had my needle in lots of different things. There's about 4 projects that I'm actively working on, but I also have 2 that are kind of on the back burner, and I've been updating you throughout the year if I've made videos or in my beginning of the year plans. I told you I was gonna do a year of Adam and Eve's, and I have done, one is complete. I still don't have it hung where it's supposed to go, but it's complete. I showed that in my last video, and then this one I had hoped to have complete, but I've just kind of stalled on it, and I'm not sure why. I think if I did some really good work on it, maybe for a week or so, I could be done, because it is pretty far underway. The border's almost finished. I just need to do the bottom, and I need to fill in the red. You can see where my needle just stopped. And the hardest part, and I think the part that's maybe got me intimidated a little bit, is the 1/1 verse at the bottom, which is not short. It says, "Still let thy grace my life direct, from evil guard my way, and in temptation, fatal path, permit me not to stray, which is the name of the piece, Permit Me Not to Stray. It's by Heartstring Samplery, and it's so fun, so quirky. I started the angel up there. I love these variegated threads on the leaves. I saw this in Tulsa at the Silver Needle and just fell in love with it. So need to get Ada, or I think that's Eve. Yeah, I need to get Eve finished. Started on that peacock. And just some filling on the vines. I think the vines are really tricky to count as well with the snake coming in there, and I just got tired of it. So this one is so close, and I hope to have it done this year. It's supposed to hang above each child. So I went ahead and put it down though because it was making me kind of frustrated, and I started my next one, which was my summer Adam and Eve, and that is Merfolk's Eden by Plum Street. And unfortunately, I had nothing but hard times with this one as well. I don't know what it was. I had to rip like maybe 4 or 5 times, and I finally put it down. But I do love it, and I think it's a lot of fun. I don't know if you can tell how much I got done here, but I've been experimenting with the colors too. That may be part of what's been harder about it, is I'm changing things to be just a little bit brighter. The original has a lot of orange in it, which I like terracotta a lot. I have a whole wall that's terracotta, but I wanted it to be a little more, you know, nautical. So I have that teal color on the tail there. And like I said, I put that tail in the wrong spot. I put that fish in the wrong spot. I had to rip so many times, but it is still going to be somewhat primitive and muted. I'm having a little bit of trouble with the colors, but it's a lot of fun. The narwhals, I think that's what I was starting in on there, the head of the narwhal, and then the tree in the middle. I think I had it up quite a ways and I've had to rip down. I want to say I was farther along and I miscounted. So this one is in timeout right now, but I do love the colors. I just was getting frustrated with it. So that's kind of where my Adam and Eve, it has quite a few. You can see all these different colors in here, but the one that's changed is Island Blue by Gentle Arts. I just love these kind of teals, and I did have Campfire, I think, by is that Classic Colorworks? I'd use that in another piece. Lots of fun ones. Otter Creek is pretty. And then Hey Jude by Frankie is my kind of watery color, that blue brown. So it's still very murky and folk arty, but I was having a lot of fun with it. I got frustrated, and there's a weird drawing from my kids. I'm not sure what that's doing in the pattern, but those were 2 that I'd worked on over the summer, and I've really been kind of stalled on. That may be part of why I've kind of stalled out with my stitching, is I was just working with some projects that weren't clicking, that were making me frustrated, and stitching should be fun, right? So I needed to put those down for a little bit, and this is what I've started since then. I was contacted by my friend Rachel on Stitch and Be Well, and she had gifted this pattern to me from a fellow Flosstuber who changed her mind, said, I really don't want to stitch this, but it's all kitted. I have all the fabric, everything called for, which if you watch my channel, you know I never get to do, because this is quite a you know, expense as far as the floss goes. So thank you so much to that kind Flosstuber. I didn't ask to use her name, but she had done one basket in a stitch that's opposite of how I stitch, but it's a very small one, so I really don't think it'll matter. And this is as far as I got. It's not very far. I'm supposed to be doing a basket a week, and whoops, this was the original Flosstubers, and then this. And I don't think she's even finished her. She does the half stitch across and half stitch back. I do full crosses every time. So here is the start of my basket. It's pretty big. That one I started, that may be why I stalled out, but I didn't know how to do it otherwise because I'm working over from her basket here. This is the one I've started. So it's got kind of a black and white base, but this is such a fun sampler. You do each side and then sew it together with 2 stitchers, or in this case we're doing 2. I don't know, you could do more I guess, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And this fabric is one that I've never seen before. It's called Cherub. It kind of has some pinks and greens. So I don't know, I might actually, I don't know how Rachel feels about it, but the pink is not my favorite. I might actually spritz that with some brown. So I don't know. We'll see how it, I'm sure when it's all said and done, you probably won't even notice the pink on there because it's kind of covered. So that though is fun. I'm supposed to be doing that one each week with Rachel and I'm behind. So thank you though, Rachel, for sharing and contacting me. And then these are some ones that I started just kind of on a whim, but more that I've had them for a long time and wanted to. And so I was trying to just search for something that would hold my focus, that would hold my attention. And this Animal Cracker series I have done from Stacey Nash. I've done the Wren. I think she's called Jenny. This is Henrietta, which I wanted to do for so long. I used to keep chickens. I was just talking about that with a friend today at lunch, and I am a terrible chicken keeper. I've gone through 2 flocks that were taken out by, one by a skunk and another by some kind of wild dog or by a dog or something. So I sew my chickens now. I don't try to keep them, but this one I'm doing on a piece of, it looks like 36 count vintage country mocha, which is what I did Jenny on. Not a lot of it will actually show because the chicken is pretty much full coverage. It's nice to do these blocks of color while I'm, watching TV or something. It's pretty mindless. Just keep going up the rows. I do have to count those little patterns on her skirt, but I'm using, I think those are the called for. The called for green I love. It's tarragon. It's such a beautiful, beautiful floss by Weeks. And then the chicken itself is in, I think, pecan. So, or the hen. Those are called for. And I tied these threads with some seam binding ribbon that I got from Frankie when she sends me some flosses, and that goes on the hen's neck, so that way I keep it together and don't forget to use it. I do think I want to do that basket as well, and I'll put it over by my farm stuff. So that one's been so fun. And then I was feeling like I wanted to do some Halloween stitching. I have several pieces already though, so this was a total impulse, but I found this stitch on Etsy. It's called Sampler Halloween. I believe it's from another country, maybe Russia or somewhere, but it's a pretty little Quaker. I love, can you see the middle has cats, and I have a black cat thing. I showed you my wool applique. I have a black cat thing for Halloween, and so I wanted an one monochromatic stitch to do that, and he's just gone on my chair. And so I also had some beautiful fabric. This blue was in my stash, and I thought, I don't want these fabrics to just sit all folded up in a drawer. I want to be working on them, even if I don't get it finished. I mean, look how cool that is. I want to say it's called maybe Mirage. I honestly can't remember, or Echo. It's a Picture This Plus from a sweet subscriber. And then here's where I've gotten to. I'm really having a lot of fun with it. It's fun to do a Quaker because you can automatically tell when you get a little bit off. You do have to count carefully, but it's pretty easy to fix. I'm using a 310 for that cat. You can see that coming in there. It's going to be sideways. And then I'm using charcoal. Is it charcoal, or I think that's right. It's a Weeks Dye Works. No, coal. See, it has some, I don't know if you can tell that, it has some variegation. I'm also using some purple that I had left over, a favorite from Weeks called Merlin, as in the wizard. You can kind of see that it's purple, but it's fun because it's pretty subtle. It's not like a in your face purple. And I did the bird. You can see it better in person, but all the birds are going to be in purple and everything else will be in black. So what I want to do with this, let's see, this is, I think, the middle. So it's going to be about this big. What I want to do is make it into a drum, and I think it'll be really pretty to display that way with some black pom-pom fringe. So a little drum. I don't know if I can link it. I probably can't, but if you want to just search this up, this is how I found it on Etsy. And I think it was like a $2 pattern. They were having a sale, and you know how they get you. Etsy knows what you like, and so they say, hey, we thought you might like this. And it came up, and I was like, okay, $2, yes, please. And then I found that beautiful fabric, and there was a start. So Last one I want to share with you that I've been working on quite a bit is Heart and Hand Sampler by Brenda Gervais. I've had this in my stash for several years. I've seen several people stitch it, and I love it on the dove. That fabric comes from Weeks Dye Works, but I didn't have any, and I looked at it and decided I really want to do it on a tan fabric to go in my front room. I just didn't think it would match as well with that dove and the red. I love that combination. In fact, I do it a lot, but for whatever reason, I decided to do it on tan, and I had this piece of ale in 32 count by Picture This Plus. Here's where I've gotten to. It's just been so fun. As much trouble as I have had with the merfolk, where I was just ripping out, this pattern feels like it was just made for me. I'm just having a blast with it, and those flowers on the ale, they're so pretty. Here's the bottom. So I'm almost halfway with this part. I need to fill in some more letters and keep going with that barn, but that's the first color. It has two. I'm using not what's called for, of course. I didn't have very many of the flosses, and so I just kind of looked around to see what I could do, and I really wanted to use this beautiful Jolene by Frankie at A Wicked Stepmother. That is just one of my favorite colors. You can tell it kind of almost matches my nails, and I always wear a lot of red. So I love this like burgundy one. And then I'm using 3777, which is a terracotta. And I think it's called for like mulberry and something that's also kind of orangey, but I tried to do as much DMC as I could. I also changed that blue to teal frost. In fact, those birds are supposed to be brown, and I may not keep them blue, but they are kind of happy and fun. So we'll see. This shirt's blue. There's another pair of pants over here that are blue, and so I like to have blue kind of scattered around, or teal. And oh my goodness, I just think it's so pretty. So I really want to get this one done this year. Like I said, my stitchy bug has just been elusive, hard to hold on to, hard to keep going, but I really wanted to film just to kind of encourage myself somewhat, to say, look at all these beautiful projects. Don't you want to get them underway? Don't you want to have things to share? It's a lot of fun. So I hope that was inspirational. Thank you for letting me share it. I had some fall pieces ahead that I might pull out that I wanted to show you that are in season, and then a little stack of books, and we'll be finished. Hang on just. Okay, I had one other new start that I forgot about. It's in my pile, but I didn't pull it out. I wanted to share this though because it is more of a independent Etsy artist that I think is underrated, or kind of gets missed. Dame Crotal and the Bees by Good Florist Stitch Works. The thing that struck me is, look at the lady walking with her dog. There's so few stitches making up that figure, but there's something about it. It just really struck me how artistic it was. I don't know, I love the primitive style and the colors. And so I took a piece that I had already done with these bee colors. Oops, and I just dropped my yellow, but I want to say it was a Pineberry Lane. I'm pretty sure I got that right. Another Pineberry Lane bee piece I did last year. I used the same palette, and I just did a small start on Dame Crotal. And I wanted to work my way up to that house. I don't think I did though. So here's just some pretty vines and hives and some honeycomb. So just a little start. I love this Victorian motto fabric. It was when I was in the fabric club that I got it. And I did put it in my sunflower and bee bag. That's super fun. But like I said, I kind of ran out of time for my bee stitching. It was just a pattern that I think is really pretty that I've never seen anyone else stitch. I have another one of hers that is a Christmas piece, and I hope to put some work in on that. It's an artist from the UK. And so there's just a quality about her pieces that are very folk arty and artistic, like I said. So that was one start I did probably back in July, maybe even in June, and didn't really pull out very much. The other one I started a while ago, but I want to actually use this piece of fabric for Ghoultide Welcome. A lot of you have seen this. It's so pretty, by Plum Street Samplers. I'm not going to put Ghoultide, and I'm not going to put the witch. Not that I don't like stitching witches, but I wanted it to be more harvesty and less Halloweeny. So I'm going to rearrange it just a little bit. But what I want to finish on this one, what I'm showing, this is the, let's see, no, that's the bottom. This is the side as high as it's going to go. So I've made the corner. What I want to do is work my way over and down. I think it's only going to take about this much of the fabric. And I want to put another piece on this end that is my Adam and Eve for the fall. And that is the Rampant Cats sampler by Barbara Anna. And I thought I had it out here. I'll put a picture of it here. It will look so nice on this fabric. Days gone by. I don't know the dyer because I got it as kind of a one-off, but it's very spooky and cool. I love it for Ghoultide and for Rampant Cats, but I don't want to dare start Rampant Cats if I'm not going to have enough room. I'm almost positive I can put 2 samplers on here, but I would never presume to know, that I have enough. So this is a 36 count. Ghoultide is wide, but not very tall. So it's maybe going to be a little close. I didn't want to push it too far, but if I have room, I'd love to start Rampant Cats by Barbara Anna. I haven't had a Barbara Anna on the go. Hang on. Okay, hopefully I remember to edit out my sneeze. When you're working with all this fabric, it gets in your nose, and that's what just happened. Pardon me, but hopefully I have enough space to do Rampant Cats by Barbara Anna. And I have fogged up my glasses when I sneezed. That was so weird. I don't know how that happened, but excuse me if I don't have these on. You are just a distant blur right now. So there you are. I had a couple more to share, and actually just one more. Yeah, just one more. And then I have a giveaway at the end, as promised in my last video way back in June. Feast of Friendship. Everybody and their sister is stitching this or has stitched it. It's been out forever by Blackbird Designs. It's so pretty. And it's not big, but it has a lot of details with the fruit, and it comes with just a massive amount of floss. So I wanted to get this underway and get some of these good. And I want to say I did some Ginger Snap by Gentle Art, Blue Corn by Classic Color. I mean, these are some pretty flosses, and this really fun one that I got from a dyer on Facebook that I'm gonna use for the basket. So they're kind of being monopolized in this jar, or in this project, and I need to get them out. So the house is almost done. I've worked on the border. I'm working my way over to the vase. I just need to fill in that house and get over to that fruit basket. So I wanna put some stitches in this. Specifically, I want to finish that house and the pumpkin. Hopefully that'll push me to keep going, because I'd love to have this up in my house. I have a fall hallway that I keep up my fall pieces all year long, and I don't put them away, so it can sit out and being enjoyed. I have it in this really pretty bag from a UK artist. I don't remember what her name was, but that was a fun fabric. So that is some possibilities. There's one other possible project that I can't show you right now, but I'll show you a photo. I have been doing a little bit of sewing. I found some, actually my brother found some crocheted lace that my grandma Helen, I talk about her a lot because she was the original stitcher in our family, she had stitched, and it was going to go in a garage sale pile. And my brother contacted myself and my cousins in California and New York and said, can I ship these out to you? I hate to give them to a garage sale. And I said, yes, please. So let me put a picture. One of these lace is, or lace runners is a manufactured one that was at my mom's, that my mom bought, but the other one was handmade by Grandma Helen, the white one. What I'm going to do is turn that into a patchwork lace window shade, and I'll put the Pinterest picture that's inspired me. So hopefully that will encourage me if I show you. I want to have that finished lace displayed. I don't like to have things in drawers where you can't enjoy them, and because my grandma made that lace herself, I'd love to have that in my window every day. And it's going to be backed with muslin. It might get a little bit of sun damage, but you know, it's better than being in a drawer. So it sounds like I have a child that has come out. I've had them in my room and they're probably getting tired, but that is all I had to share as far as what I've been up to. It's actually quite a bit by the time I finished it. And I had a quick book. Let me show you. Hang on just a second. Okay, sorry. I had two curious kids wanting food, and it's about 20 till 5. So they can wait just a few minutes. But let me share with you just real quickly. I had found this series of books in a box upstairs. When I've moved from Oklahoma to Texas, we were in an apartment, we were in a storage unit, we were in, finally in our house. We had things in all three places. Everything was kind of, you know, squirreled away for almost a year or more. And so I had just unearthed another box of books, and I thought, oh my goodness, I loved this series when I read it. I tied it together like a present because I feel like books are kind of like a gift, and with sari silk, and I keep it on my bookshelf, but I want to start it either this fall or in the winter even. It's a series about quilts, and it's by Emily Richards. These are books that were really popular probably in the 80s and 90s, but I really enjoyed this series when I read it probably 10 or 15 years ago. I imagine you could probably find them on eBay, but they're called the Shenandoah quilt series. I want to say she even released patterns that match these books so that they actually are quilts. I want to say Emily's books, and it's E-M-I, oh, can you see that? E-M-I-L-I-E, yes, not with a Y, but with an I-E. I believe she's a pastor's wife from a different faith than mine, but I don't think her books are inappropriate. They might have some love scenes, but they're definitely closed doors or all romances. That's what I like. A lot of kind of happily ever afters, but they definitely have angst and drama. There's a lot of sister relationships. Emily does that a lot. She'll have families that are very broken. I think the first one starts out with a very crotchety grandmother that quilts. She has a quilting bee. It is focused around a church as well. One of them has a woman from Guatemala that comes and works in the church. She's actually a doctor, but she's disguises herself as a janitor. I mean, there's a lot of different tropes in these, but I just really enjoyed them. And I know a lot of y'all are readers. If you haven't read Emily Richards before, I enjoy her books. They're maybe a little dramatic for some of y'all. They're not super, you know, I don't know how to say it. They're angsty. They're definitely dramatic and angsty, but they come together in a nice bow at the end. You feel a nice resolution. The books are not necessarily needing to be read in order, but you do see appearances from previous characters in the book, and it is all set in the same community. So I just really enjoyed the stitching part of it because they talk pretty extensively about quilting in here. So like I said, I know it's called the Shenandoah. It's a place in Virginia. I've never been, but the scenery is definitely a part of the books, and she describes it as a very beautiful place to live. So Shenandoah album, that's what it's called, Shenandoah album series, and there's 5 of them. I doubt you can find them in a bookstore today because they are older, but I'm sure you could find them on the secondary market, eBay. You may even have them and have just forgotten about them like I did. So, and they are traditionally published. They're not that hard to find, but she's a really fun writer. She's done some mystery series and several others, but I particularly like that quilting series of books. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. If you are interested, I had done a giveaway in 2 videos ago that had just gone too far past the time when it would be easy to pick a winner. So I want to start that giveaway for Frankie, A Wicked Stepmother's beautiful pattern that she shared with me. It's a row of villages that would be fun to do in any color scheme. You could do them in brights, in fall colors. It's just a really simple, not simple, it's just a really kind of adaptable pattern color scheme. So I believe Frankie wanted to give away 2 of those to a viewer. So, and it's international, of course, because she would email you the PDF. If you're interested, I'll put a picture here in stitching that village row. She has, I think, kind of coat rack with some hooks, which is a really creative finish. You could do it on a basket. There's lots of ways you could do it. But if you're interested in Frankie's pattern, please say village below, just the word village, and don't say giveaway, don't say freebie, anything that would draw trolls. And I hope to be back. Again, I wanted to make a video to try to kind of jumpstart my getting back into crafting and stitching, and I have done a lot of decorating around the house. I'll include a video at the end, particularly of the room I'm in right now, because I have done quite a bit of new rearranging in here. So I will share that, and hope that you are well, hope that you are enjoying this hot fall. Hopefully you have some nice weather. It's still getting close to 100 every day here in Fort Worth, but we are hopeful for some cool times ahead. So thank you for visiting with me. As I say at the end of all of my videos, in the book of Psalm chapter 90 verse 17, it says, "May the favor of the Lord our God be upon us and establish the work of our hands." Happy fall.